Hi, my name is Dr. Stephanie West, and today we're going to talk about classroom management tips. Now, classroom management is one of those things that we all somewhat dread as teachers, and there's a lot of expectations, not only put on by ourselves, but by our administrators around us. But the key to classroom management is to make sure that the way you manage your classroom matches your personality. You know, if you have to follow a certain rule base, that's fine. But when you do your core class, manage it how it matches your classroom. So let's think about this. Visualize a well-managed classroom. Picture in your mind the image of a well-managed classroom. What does it look like? What does it sound like? What indications do you have that students are engaged in learning and not just being quiet? In all the years that I've taught, college, kindergarten, middle ages, high school, rarely was my classroom quiet. Quiet to the point, well, probably during testing, but they were really more discussions, movement, all of that. In my kindergarten class, we were constantly moving from one thing to the next. In high school, it was the same way. Even my middle grades, lots of movement, lots of group activities. So that's how I liked it. When it got too quiet, I was a little worried that the kids were maybe falling asleep. Maybe not, but think about it that way. So I want you to stop. And you can stop this video if you'd like, but think of some ways that you think a well-managed classroom looks like and write it down. What does it sound like? What does a classroom sound like? Is it a soft buzz? Is it kids shouting? All of us are a little different. My classroom always had a soft buzz. My classroom looked like kids working together in groups, tables, all the way through, even through the college levels. So think about that. Stop and think. Now, classroom management challenges fall into three different categories, and these are the three categories we're going to talk about today. One, establishing student expectations right from the get-go. What do you expect out of your students to do when they come into your classroom? Organize the classroom. How is it organized? How does it feel? Again, match that to your personality. Managing flexible groups. Collaborative working is the way it goes. It's when kids work together is when they learn the most. When they're engaged in the discussions, when they're actively taking part in the learning is when they learn the best. So establishing student expectations. Let's look at this. And right off the top, I always put an agenda up on my board. I always lined it out, hour by hour, half hour. When I did kindergarten, it was about every 15 minutes we changed. Now this one looks a little more spread out because I didn't have much room, but I wanted you to see this. Even at the high school, I would put, first 15 minutes we did this, reading time, what we were reading. I even would list what we were reading at the high school, in the high school English, writing time, anything like that. You can add those things so the kids know what's coming up. But an agenda on the board is really helpful to your special ed students. Special ed students need the structure. All kids really need the structure, and that's just also a way to keep yourself in check, that you're getting the things done, that you're on task, that time on task thing that we're always so concerned with. So think about putting an agenda on your board, no matter what age of student you teach. Now establish your student routines. These are the activities in a student's life within the classroom that center on time and procedures. There are procedures done that so often that the kids get so used to it, like turning in your assignments. Where do they turn in assignments? Do they hand them to you? Is there a basket? When you do centers or anchor activities, what are they doing? Are they moving around the room? Do they know a timer? Whatever you have. Have your rituals in place, your chants and cheers, like the cleanup song we all do. There's movement songs. I used to turn on a CD player at the high school when we were done, and they could turn in their stuff. So at the end of a test time, they had to turn stuff in. When we were cleaning up to leave before the bell would ring, I'd turn on a little music so they would know how to do things. So think about that. What rituals do you want to put in there? And decide, like a lot of teachers, they do the good news at the very beginning of the day. When's your good news time? stuff like that. So think of that and establish those routines and rituals right from the start. Now, establishing your rules. This is great. Conversation levels. How loud do you want it to get? Getting help. What do they do? Respecting one another. Participation on task behaviors. Your movement. How do they get around? Transitions and stop and listen. It's often assumed that students will automatically understand your expectations for the teacher in various aspects of the classroom, but never make those assumptions. You need to actually put it down in your procedures and let them know exactly what they do. So organizing the classroom, this is a big deal. You know, at each level we do it a little different, but it's so key that you organize the classroom that flows. So here's some possible seating arrangements. Now, when I was teaching kindergarten, I taught kindergarten, and the high school principal came to me and asked me to come to the high school and help them with their reading. And I set my class up in rows like everyone else. Well, in about 2 days, it just didn't match me, so I went back to the grouping, like in the top picture there. I rarely did the U. I never had classrooms big enough to do the U, so I liked the clusters. I liked having the clusters where they could still talk to each other, collaborate when I needed them to, and then if we had a test, they could move them apart and then move them back together. But it's so key that you're comfortable with the arrangement. Like I said, rows was not me. Even though I went from high school and we had from kindergarten we had tables, to the high school who had desk, those funny desks, you know, with the chair and the desk on it. It lasted about a week, and I thought, I can't stand this. I can't stand the rows. Nobody was talking to each other. I couldn't get around. You know, it was just easier to put them in tables. They say never to go more than 5 in a table. I like 4. My favorite number is 4 in grouping, but that's completely up to you. Now, this one is more for the early childhood classroom, you know, because you've got your writing centers, your reading corner, all that kind of stuff. Here's another one. I use this format in my 4th and 5th grade classrooms, and you can see everything was along the walls, the outside. So I had centers, but they were more like folder centers where they go and they grab things and then they'd work together. And my teacher's desk was always as far in the back as I could get it, you know, anywhere completely out of the way, because I really never used my desk much. But think of that, you know, think of how you would like to situate your classroom so the kids have the chance to get along and to talk and to participate with one another. Now, managing flexible groups is key. We've all heard that the more students collaborate, the more they learn, and it really is true. So whole group instruction. So I'm going to go through some of, like, what is what? You know, what do you think is what? So whole group instruction is more your warm-ups, your introductions, your read alouds, your shared reading, instructional games, discussions, all those kind of things. Now, when you get to your small group instruction, they're random things. Now you can, when you start to put kids into groups, you can put them random, you know, whoever wants to be in whatever group, and that works for some groups. Heterogeneous, when you match their skills and readiness, or homogeneous is a mixture. Their interests, their cooperative levels. Individual work, you can do extension activities, remedial or practice activities, projects. You know, that's basically what individual work is. Now, when you form your student groups, some people use pretest, and they put the kids depending on their levels. I always like to know where my kids were, so I'd rank my kids. Are they high, middle, or low? I'd only put 1 high student in a group if I could, 2 middles and 1 low, because that way the high kids don't hurt each other or don't overbarrel each other. You know, they're usually kind of bossy, those perfectionists and leaders. You can sign up. They can sign up to do it. At the high school, I had sign-up groups. Interest groups is another one if you do reading groups, reading studies, and then your multiple intelligences. Now, here's the age-old question. If I'm working with a small group of students, what are the other students doing? And this is what I call creating anchor activities. Now, anchor activities are meaningful, ongoing assignments that students can work on independently while the teacher works with the small groups. So what are these kind of anchor activities? What can they mean? What are they about? This is where you have writing journals, you have creative writing prompts, you have independent reading, content reading, related reading, reading games, word games, keyboard, spelling. And you can look at this whole list. There's so many different things you can do that helps the kids to stay busy while you're working with the other kids. And that goes back too to your routines and procedures. Set those up so the kids know your expectations. I really hope this video has been enjoyable for you and you've learned something. Like I said, classroom management is not the easiest thing. This is something I could probably talk to you for a whole semester. But if you'd like to join my mailing list and get all my articles and whatnot, please text to DRS West to 22828, or you can click on that constant contact link there, or you can visit my website. Again, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time.